Hi, I'm Scott Orr, and I'm the host of the podcast Other Record Labels. And today I want to talk about creating your brand. When you're starting a record label, I think it's really important to think about your brand as a whole. The visual component of not necessarily, definitely aesthetic when it comes to what type of formats that you press on, and also the aesthetic sound. But today I want to talk about the visual side of things when you're starting a record label. You can get all of these, a PDF checklist of all of these tips at otherrecordlabels.com/checklist, and subscribe to this channel to catch all of these episodes in this series, because we're not stopping doing this. We're doing 31 of these to help you start a record label. The first thing you're going to do when you make your brand is to make a logo. Now, this is obvious, and maybe you've started doing this, and I've seen, first of all, go through all of the record labels on Twitter and Instagram. Just search through their logos to get an idea of what you want to do. If you're going to have a hand-sketched one, if you're going to have something that's graphically designed or whatever, it's really important to make sure that first of all, you have a black and white version. And the reason why you have a black and white version is most labels have black and white versions. I mean, you could prove me wrong, but the primary logo for most labels are black and white. And I think one of the reasons is that when you see a record label logo is usually on the spine or on a record or on a CD or maybe on a website. And in those applications, it's not the most compelling part. People are there to see a record, to see the band's name, to see the band's artwork and the track list. The record label is not the hero of that story. And so it's really important to just pull back a little bit and to put like a small black and white or all white logo. I think that's why a lot of record labels don't have this overly colorful thing, because it will clash on whatever product that it's on. Now, sometimes they do a color logo, and you can have a color version for if you're doing merch just for your label, but a black and white version is really important. It's also important that if you're creating the logo or if a designer's creating the logo, to have an EPS created. Now, that's different from a JPEG, but it is a scalable document. It's a vector image that you can then scale if you're making tote bags or you're making small stickers or even a huge billboard one day. And somebody at like a t-shirt pressing will also want to have an EPS. So ask your designer to provide you with an EPS. Even if it's a sketched one, I think those can be easily converted into EPSs. You want to have a ping version, like an all white and all black one. That means it has no background, so you could overlay your logo on top of a photo if you want, or change the color background. And then of course you want to have a JPEG. The other thing I want you to do, if you have time, if it's possible, is to create brand guidelines to help you look consistent. I imagine big labels, and I know huge brands have like 50-page documents on how to properly use their brand. We don't have to do that. We can do one 8.5 by 11 page. Basically, it is like a North Star. It helps us make sure that our brand looks consistent across all of the platforms and everywhere where your logo is. You could say, I think the logo should be this size in centimeters or inches on every vinyl that we do, or it's going to be on the spine, and it's going to be a 1/4 inch from the bottom, and it's going to be a 1/2 inch wide on every tape that we do. And that will help things look consistent across the board. You can say that never should the logo be this color on top of this color, or logo should always be black on white, unless it needs to be white on black. And so you have these type of rules, and where there's people who are helping out with the label, they can refer back to this document of how they should use your logos. And of course, if you have colors that are affiliated with your brand, then you want to identify the codes of what those colors are, so that people who are helping out with the label, or t-shirt designers or pressing plants, will have this and know to follow these rule guidelines. This is something that huge brands do, medium-sized brands do, and there's no reason that we shouldn't carry that over into the record label world. The final thing is, talking about consistency, is to create banners and profile pictures for social media platforms that all look the same, that all carry the same message. They carry your motto or your website address or your newest released information. But you think of all the places on the internet where your brand is going to be seen: a profile picture on Twitter and Instagram, a Facebook banner, a Facebook events banner, your Bandcamp icon. There's a Spotify wallpaper image at the back and a Spotify icon if you set up something for your label. There's also Bandcamp banners. So everywhere, SoundCloud, everywhere that you roll out your your brand, make sure it looks consistent across the board. Why? There's something about familiarity that I think is really important, that when a fan is discovering your label, they know they've come to the right spot because they recognize the look from the sleeve of the records or the spine of the tape or from your other social media platforms. I think branding is really important, and don't let it just be for big brands or for, non-artistic companies. I think it's really cool if record labels can have some sort of brand consistency. When I'm scrolling on Twitter, there's a few record labels out there that if I just see the smallest little glimpse of one of their posts, I know who it is because they use the same colors across the board or the same type of artwork across the board. I think it's really great to have. You can get this and all of our tips put together in one checklist at otherrecordlabels.com/checklist. Thanks for watching.